So we had the opportunity to do the Prophecy Dungeon in Destiny 2, and I have to admit, guys, it was pretty cool. I'm going to show you a few places where the hidden chests are, as well as a little cheese you can do to get to the first boss and skip some of the combat if you want to. It doesn't save you a lot of time, and it can be a little tedious. So if you don't do it right, it's a little rough. We're going to get in that part, and then I'm going to run you through how we went through the Prophecy Dungeon. I'll show you where the next little, I guess, hidden chests are. Enough of that. Let's just kind of hop in and go through the game. Alright, so what you're going to see is our first attempts to jump into this tunnel didn't really work out. Timing was very, very important. However, I did find a way that was a bit easier to get up and through that worked really well for me. So instead of going to the very first tunnel, if you move to the second tunnel, you'll just jump up there, you get your sparrow out. It's going to look really weird for a second. You're going to kind of feel like you're in outer space, but you have to get your sparrow out almost immediately and slow crawl, and then move over to the left or right to kind of dodge the ball in the middle. Immediately jump up, and you should be able to teleport out. You'll come to this area. Now, the tough part was I tried to make the jump from one of these little steps and it didn't work out. But as you can see, there is a ledge further over to the right that a light is kind of coming out of, right that way. If you jump that way, that actually will get you across to where you're supposed to be. But because my team members couldn't get over there, we just reset and we start over, and we just went through the original way that you would do the Prophecy Dungeon. So after we defeated a couple of the knights and got those little pillars of dark or light knocked out, we were able to get to the first boss. And we see those pillars of light and dark yet again. So one of the craziest things about this is killing the knights that drop the items that you need in order to diffuse the light or dark really matters on if you're standing in a lighted area or in a shadow area or dark or light area. It kind of pays respect to whichever one you're in as to what will that enemy will drop on who hits the final hit of that enemy. So we ran into it where I was standing in the dark and say another player was standing in the light, and when we did it, we messed up and we had to kind of start over. So I'd been charged with darkness. I went over top, I hit the trigger, popped it, was able to bust it down. There are so many ads in this area that you do have to maintain and try to make sure you get a lot of those knocked out, but being very, very careful not to pick up any of the dark motes or the light motes. You can kind of throw off the balance of your team if you're picking up dark motes, because if you pick up a dark one and then you immediately pick up a light one, it's going to turn all your dark ones, it's going to reset basically. So if you had 5 dark or 4 dark and you picked up a light, then you're going to go back to 1 light and you have to start over. Now, I'm pretty confident that if you can deal enough damage and stay alive for enough time, you can actually beat him in 1 burn phase. We didn't get lucky enough to beat him in 1 burn phase. There was a little death that occurred, so I had to wait for a respawn, which kind of set us back. It wasn't a lot left on him, which kind of sucked. It kind of drew us out another, I guess, 5 to 7 minutes on the mission. But if you can deal enough damage, you can knock him out in 1 phase. It took us 2. But it was well worth it. We got him burned down, went through our last little phase of punching him around a little bit, and then we were immediately rewarded with a chest, in which granted me my very first item from the Prophecy Dungeon, which was pretty exciting because it dropped at a higher level, and it's just nice to get higher level items. So next I want to run you guys through the hidden chest. So this is the first hidden chest that you'll have the opportunity to find. When you get into the dunes, you kind of want to veer to the left and drive out. And what you're looking for is a place that has it's like a yellowish or golden colored sand. And this is quite a huge area, so it is easy to kind of get turned around. But if you can kind of follow those pillars on the outside and follow that dune inwards, you should be able to locate it in no time. So the people in here, we've done it before or had done it before, but still kind of got turned around on the location. But once you get there, it's kind of like a well-lit place. And you'll be able to see that there's yellow sand. So you've got light, you've got the yellow sand, you've got a few pillars, and there's a pretty large Minotaur guy. He's not super hard to deal with. That yellow sand is where you want to go. So When you get to the yellow sand, I thought jumping up was the easy way, but what you do is you kind of drop down in, you'll crouch down and you'll crawl through, and that'll be your hidden chest. Now, this is where I call out. You only get what you've gotten from the dungeon before. So since the very first thing I got was a mark of judgment, that's what I got the second time around. Now, after that, what you have to do is go find the, I guess, little orbs where the Taken are chilling out and destroy 3 sets of 3. So once you destroy those 3 sets of 3, it will give you a message saying the way is open, and then you can push into the big area. Be very mindful that snipers, the hobgoblins, are really mean. They can deal quite a bit of damage, and you still have to deal with some of the minotaurs that are hanging around the area. But your job is to get rid of all the blights. There's 3 in each area, so you'll destroy each blight, and as you go through 3 sets, and that's when you get the message from Tolan saying the way is open, and that's how you can go to your next boss battle. So we didn't have very far to go, but we had to look for another cube. Sometimes you can see the pink or purplish light coming from it to let you know you're going the right way. If not, you just kind of look for these huge cube-like things, and you'll see a little path that you can walk through. Now, this is actually one of the cooler things. This purple light led you to what looks like, I don't know, it's like Tron in here. Is kind of crazy cool. But this portion of the dungeon can be a little weird, and you kind of do want to know the mechanic of this before going in. So you've got the little orb in the middle that looks like Tolan. And what he's going to do is you're going to see the circles on the wall. He's going to be floating above those circles. And those are the only pillars of light or dark that you need to focus on clearing. Because once you clear them, you'll move to the next area. Now, very, very important, if you've got it, have somebody who can kind of take care of these ads, these hobgoblins rather quickly. If you've noticed, I was getting wrecked pretty quickly by these guys. But you see Tolan's over that one side, which is it looks to be a dark altar. You'll want to make sure that you support that. Again, very, very important that if you have somebody who can defeat the hobgoblins rather quickly, they will save you a lot of time. If you've got defensive abilities or healing abilities set up, they really help with that process as well, because you're able to protect yourself during all this. So I would go fight the ads, call out what I see, let my team members smash the areas, and then we would, once you clear it, this is the part that really got me, because once you clear the one side, you don't have to fight enemies anymore. You just need to immediately get to the center with your entire squad, and it lifts you to the next room that kind of flips the area a little bit. So be wary about this part, because if you're not careful, you'll be dropping from a high area and you'll kind of take some fall damage. So again, you pay attention to where Tolan is located. You look and see what color pillar you have to deal with. Immediately kill enemies that were either in the light or the dark, so you can blow that up, and you'll move on section to section. This part can take a long time if you're not careful. There are holes in the floor in the last room that you go to, which sucks. There is a couple bosses that will spawn in here that you want to burn down. But I'll tell you, we reset once when we were 3 to 4 rooms in and had to start back at room 1. So you want to be wary of that. Like, survival is key. This is as close to a raid as you can get without it being an actual raid. So be mindful of who's alive and what needs to be done, and try to rush through that as quickly as possible and as efficiently as possible. Now, once you defeat both of these bosses in this room, you are again rewarded some gear. I felt like I got lucky because I grabbed a sidearm, but that's not the best item that you can get from this dungeon. Still kind of nice for me. It's really nice. There's supposed to be a really nice hand cannon you can get. But anyway, once you have cleared this area, there is a hole in the wall right in front of the chest that you're supposed to kind of jump through. I missed it a couple times. I struggle a little bit here, but as you can see, that hole in the wall right there where the chest was will take you to the next Tron-esque area. Kind of starts to look bluish once you get through to the other side. So you'll see the boss kind of standing out there in his little taken form. He's been hanging around you the entire time, just watching and spectating. When he spawns up, you follow him all the way through. So just keep going until you get to the pillar that you're supposed to enter in next. Which is, this area is kind of trippy cool as well. So you'll go through the doors and it will be like a bright blue color coming up, and it kind of looks like you're landing in like a neon rainbow road. So I feel like they really liked Tron when they made this one, because it really started to look super duper cool. But this leads us to the next area that's going to house the next hidden chest that is available. And when I say hidden, this one's pretty much in a little cubby hole that's hard to find. Now, something I did find out is if you wanted to, you could actually ride your Sparrow the majority of the way down. We, however, did not use the Sparrows. I had a feeling I'd fall off and die quite a few times. So, you know. But right before you get to the end, you'll see that little weird spiral looking square thing that the enemies can get sucked into. If you can jump down there, do not get in the circle, because it will pull you in. You pull your Sparrow out and you ramp up. You go up this ramp. I normally have to jump off of this to get to the top. You'll land in and you'll go into this little, I guess, prism, cube, triangular thingamabobber. And they hit it very well. I don't think I would have ever found this if I wasn't told about it. In the corner is a little hole that you can drop down into, and that's where your next hidden chest is. As a quick reminder, the only thing you get out of these hidden chests are going to be things that you have gotten from the dungeon before. So I kind of got unlucky with the RNG roll and got yet another mark. It really sucked. So you'll just easily make your way back to the area that you kind of went up the ramp to begin with, and you'll jump in the little portal and it'll take you to the next area you gotta focus on. Now, things aren't super hard here, but you do need to make sure that you guys are focusing on the right thing. So in the corners, there's going to be 3 bosses that you have to deal with. These bosses are shooting at you and they are invulnerable. Each boss has a pillar with a different color of light in front of it. Again, if you're in the dark, you want to kill them in the dark so that you can get the dark motes, so you can destroy the dark lights. If you're in the light, you want to kill them so you can get the light motes, so that you can destroy the lights and spawn that boss and destroy that boss. The most ridiculous part about this is if you fail here at any time, you'll have to do this all over again. So in a moment, you'll see that we're actually going to be fighting the boss after destroying all these pillars, right? Oh, and side note, as soon as you destroy your pillars, get to the middle with your team, get on the little thing, and it will take you to the area where you actually go through your boss burn phase. Now, if you die, it kind of sucks because it takes just a little bit of time away from your boss burn phase. Now, while you fight this guy, he's annoying, okay? He's going to throw a big orb bubble that can teleport you back to the beginning. And you're going to see that you're getting dark entropy while you're hanging around him. If you're not within range of him, it's a little very hard to see white circle. But if you're not within range of that, you'll start to build up dark entropy. When you hit 10 stacks of dark entropy, it doesn't matter how good your health is, you will immediately die. So you're dodging snipers, you're dodging bubbles that will send you back to the very beginning if you get hit by it, and you're avoiding your stacks of dark entropy. If done well, you can burn him down to about half health, and only do this run probably 2 different times. We got a little unlucky and we did have to run it 3 times in order to get this part done, but what will suck is if your team is wiped in this room, doesn't matter how much health you or damage you have done to his health through this process, you will start all the way back over and he will have full health, meaning you have to do the pillars of light even more. Now, After each session, after each part of this, you are expected to do those pillars anyway. But they're a little time consuming and a little more difficult, so you kind of want to make these as smooth as possible. I don't recommend if somebody gets dealt with or dies while they're doing this part. I don't recommend going back for them because you can get stacks of dark entropy on you and die. You can fall off the map and die. You just want to be very, very mindful of somebody needs to survive no matter what. As you're going to see, after the first phase is over, he'll disappear. You'll make your way back to a little purple triangle, which the entire team will once again need to stand on to move you into your next phase of kind of collecting dark and light motes, destroying the light or dark pillars, so that you can again get into another burn phase. Now, here is exactly why you don't want to try to go back. Because I went back and tried to save my buddy, I immediately panicked and jumped off the map to try to avoid getting dark entry stacks of 10 and dying. But I got really lucky. The squad that I was with was capable enough to deal quite a bit of damage to finish him off. It was a one man, so if he had died at this point, it would have really been trashy. You could probably see my facial expression because I was scared as crap that he was going to die. After defeating him, you'll get a piece of gear. I was super excited because I got a piece of gear. Unfortunately, it was the same one that I'd gotten 3 times before. But as you see, you'll port in, they'll pull you into the next area. Now, the gear that you can get from here is gear that you've only been able to get from, like, past Osiris matches. So, that's pretty cool. But all in all, that's the quick rundown of it. Luckily, I had people who had run the Prophecy Dungeon before, so instead of taking me 3 or 4 hours to probably get through it because I'm terrible at the game, it only took us about an hour and a half to get through it. That's because we did have 2 wipes and I was a little fresh on the process myself, but the dungeon's a lot of fun. I highly recommend it. The gear that I got from it was super awesome in my opinion, and hopefully on the next reset I'll be able to do it again, and hopefully we can get it done a lot faster. I thought it was cool that some of the gear that you get is no longer available anywhere else, so you can get some of the what I would call like legacy gear. But everything that dropped in there from defeating bosses in those chests was almost like if I was doing a raid. So it was like raid quality gear, but a much shorter amount of time, and the mechanics are a lot easier to understand. As always, with any of these types of missions in Destiny 2, it is 100% important that you survive. Just staying alive sometimes is more important than anything, because we reset when the boss had maybe 1% of its health left, and we had to start all over. Big waste of time and super depressing. We talked about never talking about it again, but here we are. But that's the Prophecy Dungeon. That's the 2 hidden chests that you have and some of the mechanics for it as well. I hope this is helpful for anybody who's going to be jumping into Destiny 2 new. We got big stuff coming in 2022 for Destiny 2, so I'm pretty stoked and excited about it. And soon I'll be having some awesome raid information for you guys. It may take me a month to get through it, but we'll get it either way. Thank you guys for popping in, and we'll see you next time.